strategy of keeping Amorim for 3 years? Because in a sense, they're sticking to the plan of let this build, give it time. Let's not be moved by knee-jerk decisions.
This is the other thing with that, though, is I think people are really hyper-focused on that 3 years. Like, he's definitely guaranteed going to get 3 years. He's not even on a 3-year contract. He's on a 2.5-year contract. And he then said in the very next sentence, obviously, we're dictated by results. So if Ruben Amorim keeps losing games, then he'll get the sack. So yeah. I think this idea that so Sir Jim's definitely going to give him 3 years. If anything, I think he's just made it more difficult for himself after he said that, because inevitably, in my opinion, when he does end up sacking him, people go, "Oh, see that 3 years." Like I really don't think that's a thing. I think that the idea of him when he says about making Man United one of the most profitable teams, I don't even think that's the worst thing in the world, because as has been pointed out, Man United should never, ever have an issue with PSR. Like, it shouldn't even be a thing for us, because what's PSR based on? Profit and loss. Man United makes so much money with their revenue streams. You look at like Newcastle as an example. Eddie Howe comes out and says it, because we've got all this money. We can't spend it because we don't make enough money. Our revenue streams aren't as big. Man United makes a shit ton of revenue. So we shouldn't even go into transfer windows being like, can we even afford to get this player? Is that the right thing? It shouldn't even be a thing. The reason we even discuss that is the strategy or lack thereut at Manchester United. So I don't even again think it's necessarily a finance thing with us. I think it's a strategic thing. Our strategy is crap, but the implementation of it by Ineos has not been.
I agree. I 100% agree with like when I didn't take it as like, oh my God, Ruben's definitely staying 3 years now. No point ever talking about his job or his thing, because I didn't take it as that. But that is true. But the other side of it that it did show me was that he can keep being mediocre and stay. And I think for me, that was a takeaway. Obviously, if we lost all 4 games in this next international bit, in this block of games, which we won't, but say we did, then like you say, it's driven by results. So it's like, gonna have to sack him. But if he keeps his head above water, i.e., I don't know, say we lost against Liverpool, then we beat Brighton, then we drew against Forest, then we lost against Spurs. That's like what we do, yeah? That's like... We're
going to be a yo-yo. I think
we'll do that. So what he's saying, but based on what Sir Jim's saying is, if it stays like that, he actually might get 3 years, because they're still thinking, it's going to take time. So it's not like, obviously we see that as catastrophic. If we finish 15th again, 10th, 14th, 13th, all of that being there. But how I took it was, I don't think if we lost mad games in a row, you wouldn't sack him. But if we do that sort of, like KG saying, just a little yo-yo, just a little 12th to 15th, I feel like they still... That's how
I got from it. We're not sacking him this season. Getting the full season. I just got that, because it's even after... Remember when we had the last game? So we lost to Brentford, and the next game was... What's the last game we just played? Sunderland at home. Yeah? For me, if we lost to Sunderland at home, I feel that's a sackable offence. I feel unsubscribing, guys. Information is free to why do I have to make... Oh, go on then.
Hold on. No, so you don't have to unsubscribe. I'll just ban you from the whole... I'm joking. To make it easy for you, Mosa.
Yeah. All right.
Go on. Sorry, KG. Go on, bro.
Sorry.
Yeah, Sunderland's a sackable offence.
Yeah, I believe losing to Sunderland, sackable offence. The club said we already took 3-1 to Brentford, and now we go into this game and we don't do nothing. Now that lets me know, and then the club made sure to tell everyone we're not getting rid of him, no matter the score. That's what came out. That was like coming BBC, Simon.
Well, he's saying he sees this as knee jerk. What's Jim saying is like this is knee
Sunderland game. Now I'm talking about the Sunderland game, which was like a wake up call to say Fabrizio. Everyone came out and said, even if they lose against Sunderland, we're not going to sack him. That's last week, getting by facts.
But they didn't say no matter the result. They did say, well, if you get 4-0 pumped at Old Trafford, that might be a little bit different. They put out like, if Ruben's likely to stay regardless of the result. But had we lost again 4-0 at home to Sunderland, pressure would be on.
It is all about the results.
Even though he's said that, I didn't really take that much from it, because what else is he going to say? Like, oh yeah, well, he's on the brink, isn't he? Of course he's going to back his manager, and we've seen for all the reporting suggesting that his hope is to give him the season. I just don't think he'll get that long. I would have loved. I so wish they asked him, well, what's your expectation then? What's the aims? What are you looking to do this season in terms of where you're going to finish, in the table, what have you? Because I don't think it's a case of like, if Man United finish 10th or 11th, then he'll get another season. I just don't see that being the case. I see it as still that if we keep losing games, or even if we're a yo-yo team, eventually it'll get a point where that's not good enough. That's not going to be tolerated. At the moment, it's tolerated because, as we see in the comments and people still say, they'll go, look, even though you're 4 or 5 points off the bottom, you're still 4 or 5 points off the top 4 or top 5. So a lot can change very quickly. But I think by the time, we've seen it last season, by the time like December comes around or January, and those gaps start to get a little bit bigger. If Man United are still a yo-yo team by that point, but the distance is getting bigger between them and the European positions, then I think they'll let him go. So
there's a world where he can get sacked this season for you.
Absolutely, of course there is. Absolutely,
is that for you as well? I just got from them talking. They want to try and back this situation for at least.
I think
that's why
I got. It's hard because they're all mixed up here.
That's the intention.
Yeah,
that's the
nothing.
intention.
Yeah, there's nothing he says is in totality. Yeah. Well, I want to be given Ruben 3 years. That's where I'd be. I'd be at 3 years. Yeah, you want to be at 3 years? Great. I want Ruben to get 3 years and turn it around, and in 3 years' time we're amazing. I want that. But what you want and what you get is two different things. Like I said, I liken it to all the other CEOs and how the whole history of football has worked. And we've seen it, bro. Even with Ten Hag. It was FA Cup. We believe in Eric. We're going to go again. They said stuff. I remember saying all that. They said the stuff. We had the summer. And the first couple of months, we got to October and we were 13th. They said, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, keep saying, Karen Brady came in live on TalkSport, bro. She was there. I saw her in the thing. Yeah. Graham's, we're going to stick by Graham. We really think he's going to turn it around. And, we don't want, what I mean? Man just carried on losing. And they had to sack him, bro. Marinakis in the European thing, when they went to the European draw, he said, no, we're going to sort it out with Nuno. It's going to be fine. He didn't even keep losing. They just fell out. So these like CEOs and like decision makers, they can say what they want in public, but the results drive everything. But the only thing I did take, which I do agree with, bro, I do agree with you, where like, I didn't just take it as, oh, it's 100% fine if we continue to like win one, lose one. Just be a bit indifferent. I took it as long as we're indifferent at this side of it, where he's not even at a year, they'll at least give him the season, a season, a year, go get to the next transfer window, try go again into next season. Now can you start again? Good. Just prolonging. I saw prolonging.
If he gets 8th, do you think they'll keep him 8th?
If he gets 8th. Yeah, I'll be honest, bro. I was saying if we finish 8th. Remember, we were talking about this, KG, on the was it Flexi KG show, and I was like, bro, we don't even have to get Europe for me. Like, if we show something and show that we're doing all right, if we show that we're going in the right direction, we can finish 8th. I'm not 100% mad at that. If I see something. But obviously, you was like, nah, we've got to be in Europe. It's not good enough. And listen, Ineos, like we say about the money, when all the finance guys are dissecting what's going on, they're saying Man United have to be in Europe, some kind of Europe. So maybe that isn't a thing. Because also what we heard, what was the report, Owen? Like a couple of weeks ago. So Jim feels this team is capable of getting European.
Yeah, championship.
Yeah, they might just.
I think, look, we obviously as fans, we like to sort of hyper focus and really sort of break down the words that people say in these interviews, but they're just that. They're interviews, aren't they, at the end of the day? Sir Jim also said we'd run out of cash by the end of the year if Ineos hadn't showed up. You know what I mean? So I think that people may be taking a bit too seriously what he's saying. He is the minority owner of Man United. He's in control of football operations. Of course, he's going to come out and back the guy that he hired, even if he's on the brink of of getting the sack, right? He's always going to back.
Yeah,
his
but you
guy.
can see why people don't trust it, Owen, because Dan Ashworth was his guy. He sat there and he said, well, this is the best league class. Newcastle being very stupid,
exactly,
being very stupid. He gave it all of that, and then he fucked him off.
Exactly.
So
That's what I'm saying.
So that means yeah, but also people aren't just going to go. So it's true that obviously means that they can just get rid of him at any moment.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He said it, but it also makes us feel like, well, mate, I ain't just listening to you saying like, yeah, you know,
the lights were going to be turning off. He said the club might not be able to exist, and then after
and all of that, yeah.
And again, and obviously he likes.
So he knows it's bullshit.
He said it straight away. He said, "Oh, he's a nice guy." And look, to be honest, I mean, look at David Moyes when he came in at Manchester United, right? The intention was for him to see out his whole contract. He got a 6-year deal when he was gone.
It's always the intention, isn't it?
You know what I mean? So the intention for Ruben Amorim is that he sees out the season and he sees out his whole contract because things are working out well. But as we always say, you've got to earn it. There is no way, I think anyway, Ruben Amorim just gets a blind, well, he's just definitely going to get a season, even if we know 10 games left of the season that we're definitely going to finish 15th, or we're just going to sit there for the whole time. Of course not, you know. So I think that there's a very real possibility.
So do you think it won't be enough if he just keeps his head above water? And by keep his head above water, I think we all kind of loosely agree on what that looks like. You know, just do the thing what we do now, which is, you know,
one game. Mate, if we
one win a month,
one win a month, yeah. If we continue to do one win a month, he'll be gone by
Christmas.
Maybe Christmas, maybe early next year. I think he'll be gone by, because they'll start to look at it going, bloody hell, actually, you know, especially if they think that Europe actually is attainable, if they can turn results.
I wonder if they do think that. I wonder if they do.
I hate to add this because I know people are sick and tired of this conversation, but again, it did happen this week, and we do check back to what has happened this week. Xerxes and Kobe asked, like, they're not happy about their situation, what's going on.